Okay, well, welcome everyone. We're so glad that you're able to join us. Thank you for taking the time on a weekday evening. We're going to try to keep this very tight, 45 minutes. Let's see if we can do it. My name is Glenn Fulmer. I'm the director of the National Center for Race Amity. And we first heard about this project, I'll just share really briefly, back in January when the planning team approached the National Center for Race Amity. And they were looking for a fiscal agent, which means someone that could help, a nonprofit organization that could help with their fundraising efforts. And since then, it's been such a rewarding experience. We've been able to, be sort of a sounding board for the planning team and offer different kinds of support. And so when Kate asked us if we could host a gathering to really, first of all, encourage all of the amazing people that are making this happen. Secondly, introduce you to some of the volunteers and support staff that are offering various kinds of expertise. And finally, to answer any questions you may have and learn more about how you can get involved and support this effort. So I think I'll start by turning it over to Kate, who's a member of the planning team, who has prepared just a few minutes to give us a broad overview of the project. So go ahead, Kate.
Sure, thanks. I just wanted to start with a quote about some of the qualities of youth. It's often not what we hear in society. So the endurance of youth under arduous conditions, their vitality and vigor, and their ability to adapt themselves to local situations, to meet new challenges, and to impart their warmth and enthusiasm to those they visit, make them potent instruments for the contemplated projects. Indeed, these distinctive qualities, they can become the spearhead of any enterprise and the driving undertaking in which they participate, whether local or national. Our expectant eyes are fixed on the youth. So a quick summary of the Riders for Race Amity. It's a cycling initiative featuring 8 youth dedicated to fostering unity. Oh my gosh, hold on one second. Okay. So featuring 8 youth dedicated to fostering unity, understanding, and friendship among people of all backgrounds. This public discourse initiative is inspired by the principles of racial harmony and justice. Our journey aims to bring awareness to these very important truths. We move the public discourse on race beyond the blame, grievance, rejection framework to one that recognizes and celebrates our ability to overcome racial prejudice through association, amity, and collaborative action. Our ride will span approximately 2 weeks, starting in Madison, Wisconsin on June 13th, and concluding in Montgomery, Alabama, where we will visit the Equal Justice Initiative museums and other historical locations significant to the pursuit of racial justice and unity. Along the way, we will invite the public to spaces to share our mission, followed by facilitated meaningful conversations on a variety of topics, such as othering, racial gaslighting, avoiding conversations about race, healing racism, the oneness of humanity, and more. These facilitated meaningful conversations transform the perception of participants about race and their behaviors towards members of other races. All participants benefit from the introduction of new vernacular, corresponding structure, and a thoughtful approach to deepening awareness, fostering empathy, and inspiring meaningful action towards racial justice and unity. Our group is comprised of 8 youth, 8 adult riders, along with 4 support team members. And I just wanted to let you know that our planning team is Pepe Barros, Nuri Edie, Shaheen Satarwala, Kenya Mancias, Karen Shore, and Eileen Knott.
Okay, great. Thank you for that overview. And I'm sure we'll hear more as we move forward. I think we're going to start out by hearing from the youth themselves. We're going to meet our riders and their parents if they're on the call tonight. I know that one of them was not able to make it, so I'll just mention Samaya was not able to make it tonight. Kate, do you want to say anything on Samaya's behalf? Or?
Sure, yeah. Samaya is a freshman. She grew up in California, and then they moved to Madison, Wisconsin. and she is a freshman in high school. She's a very powerful rider, very strong, very competent, very studious, and incredibly athletic.
Okay, so thank you. I'm going to call on the other youth. And when I call your name, please unmute yourself. Tell us your name, where you're from, why you're doing the ride, why you're moved to be involved in this effort. And if you have any family members, a parent or others that you'd like to introduce, please go ahead and do that as well. So the next youth on my list is Samir.
Okay. Hi, my name is Samir. I'm 14. I live in Madison, Wisconsin, and I'm here with my mom. The reason I'm going on this bike ride is because a lot of darker and mixed people don't get stood up for enough, and I just want to spread this around the country.
Thank you. Xavier.
Hi, my name is Xavier, and I'm 14 years old. I'm going on this bike trip because I believe everyone should be treated with equally and with kindness. Sometimes people are judged unfairly just because of their skin color, and that's not right. Riding my bike is a way to show that I care and that I want to help bring people together. Riding sends a message that we can all work together and stand up for each other.
Thank you, Xavier. And where are you located? Where are you from?
Madison, Wisconsin.
Excellent. All right. Olive?
Hi, I'm Olive Majori. I'm 14 years old. I'm from Madison, Wisconsin, and I'm doing this ride because I want to spread like care and equal opportunity for all people, and I want to push myself and others to learn more about what Race Amity is.
Thank you. Then I understand we have two sisters, Bahia and Emma.
Hello, I'm Emma. I'm here with my mom and dad. Yeah, but he is still at school, so she's not here today.
Okay.
I'm 15. I live in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and I'm doing this ride because I want to make new connections and spread awareness of race unity.
Thank you. Keon?
Hi, everybody. I'm Keon. I live in Verona, Wisconsin. I'm 14 years old, and I'm doing this ride because I have a lot of friends and family that are different races, and I want them to feel like they belong and that they don't have to be self-conscious and stuff.
Thank you. Kate, did we get everyone? Excellent. And I just want to say a couple of words. Just hearing your voices and your motivation of why you're doing this is really so inspiring. And it's one of the reasons why when this project came to the board of directors of the National Center for Race Amity, it was almost a unanimous and immediate decision to support the effort and to become the fiscal agent. And we've done other things to try to help and support. So I'm going to be introducing some folks that are going to be helping with media and social media and communications. Because really, what better way to spread the impact and get more people involved in a conversation? And we're all about, the National Center for Race Amity is about that concept that friendships across lines of race have been throughout the history of this country. Despite everything else that's happened, we've had this tradition of cross-racial friendships that have been a really potent, powerful means of social transformation. So this is almost like the latest chapter of that. And it's really, really exciting to see a new generation rising up to do that. So in terms of our media team, I believe Grant and Trey are not on. Is that right, Kate?
I think so. I think they weren't able to make it.
Okay. So Grant and Trey have offered, their videographers and documentary producers, and they have offered to go on the ride, document the ride with video, and potentially produce a documentary, and also create, the type of video that could be shared widely on social media and that sort of thing. So Kate, do you have any words you'd like to offer on behalf of Trey and Grant?
Sure. I got a statement here from Trey. I don't have anything for Grant, but here's a little about Trey. Trey is a professional projector. He is ready to make sure your voices get heard. He is eager to be a part of this initiative because now is the time to create some visual representation of the unity in diversity. Through the youth, other young people along the route will see that if you put your mind to something, you can accomplish it, no matter how daunting or difficult it'll be. Let me see here. Yes. And he's got some words of advice that I'll actually read to you guys later on. Or actually, I'll read it now, actually. No matter how, okay. He's sure the impact on the communities you visit will be inspired to step up and start doing something. And through your bravery, they will be brave in front of those who try to stop the learning, the growth, and the progress. You will be planting seeds of compassion in the hearts of the communities you visit. And that seed will be watered by their own actions towards change in their own communities. He's telling you guys, have unconditional compassion for those you meet. Know you will be an example for them. It is time for the world to join hands and start making progress on a better future. So he wanted this message to go to the youth. Don't give up, keep going and pushing. Someone out there is watching and listening. There will be a breakthrough very soon, and you may just be that answer to someone's prayers. Trey feels the purpose of life is to find your purpose. Definitely get close to the Most High and educate yourself so that you can assist the next generation by your actions and your example. Have patience with yourselves and others. Love unconditionally. Learn to trust and be compassionate. Show respect, understanding, and forgiveness to all you meet from now to the end of the journey.
Nice, powerful words. Thank you. And I think that ripple effect of the impact of this journey has already started. And just the stories that Kate has started sharing with us of conversations that are happening along your route with people that will be hosting some of these public gatherings, reaching out to, Boys and Girls Clubs, YWCAs, churches, is already sparking conversation. And a lot of people are responding very positively. I think there's a hunger in this country right now for just positive examples of people committing to a higher ideal and showing what that means. So again, thank you for everything you're doing. So moving along with our sort of media communications team, the National Center for Race Amity we have a couple of pro bono public relations consultants. These two women are communication specialists that give their time and their expertise to us free of charge. We're deeply appreciative of their contributions and their support. And when they heard about this, they immediately wanted to be involved. So they're here tonight. I'm going to introduce them, and I'd like them to just say a few words about why they want to be involved. So Rhonda?
Oh, delighted. What an honor to be and to see you all. I'm Rhonda Barnett and delighted to volunteer my time. I am a communications expert. My words for you are that this kind of thing is more, and you're in great hands, of what you do rather than what you say. So if there's any advice I can impart, is that you have great videographers and a strategy for the media side of this. And that can give you the freedom to simply, as I often say, look from the inside out and not worry about how this is covered. Do your work, have your adventure, because I love that phrase of you will be planting seeds everywhere that you go. You don't know what they are going to be in advance, but it will grow, and this is so needed at this time. As I was thinking about being with you tonight, I was remembering for the first time in a long time that I had also gone on a long bicycle trip as a teenager, as a counselor, actually. And I remember calling my now mom of blessed memory, and saying, I don't think I can do it. I just don't think I'm strong enough. And she said, you are strong. You are strong physically and you are strong mentally, and you can do it. And I will always have carried with me the incredible elation of finishing after a long arduous. It will stay with you for your lifetime, and you're doing something good for others, not by what you say, by what you do, and we'll all be watching. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhonda. Lovely personal story there. And you dug that out of your deep memory. The other PR consultant that works with us is Jennifer Murphy. I believe she's on the call.
Hi everyone. I'm Jennifer. Thank you for the kind introduction, and it's so wonderful to meet all of you. I will be brief. I'm also a communications specialist, and my focus is digital. So everything related to what happens on the internet, the good, the bad, the weird, and the bizarre. And I'm especially grateful to be working with all of you. And I have to say, just seeing your photos and hearing your motivation for participating in this event is instantly touching, instantly touching. And I think for me, as someone who spends, like many of us, enormous amounts of time on the internet for work, it's very heartening to just see young people trying to kind of take small actions toward larger change based in doing things in the real world, in real life. I'm also a former athlete. You can't tell by looking at me, but I am 6'1" and played volleyball in college. And I'm also a big believer in just kind of pushing physically as a way to kind of change your life, to get out of comfort and to be together with people as a team. So this is an issue, a subject that I care deeply about. I have a very culturally and racially diverse life, and bravo to you all. And Rhonda and I are here to support you, to amplify your voices, to be here for any hiccups. We're with you 1000%.
Thank you, Jennifer. The next person I'd like to introduce is Dr. John Woodall. He's a prominent psychiatrist by profession who has worked helping populations to heal from trauma. So he worked with the UN in Bosnia after the war in Bosnia. He lives in Newtown, Connecticut, so he's been working with the survivors of the shooting there for many years. And John approached us a few months ago. He's launching a new project and a new podcast called Healing the Heart of America. And when I heard about that, I thought, that's the Riders for Race Amity. That's what they're doing. They're cutting right through the middle of the heart of the country, from Madison to Montgomery, and they're with a message of healing. And so I immediately thought, okay, let's get John connected to these youth. And we've started conversations. Anyway, I'll let John take over from here. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, Glenn, thank you so much. What an honor to be here, and how exciting to see everyone. Thank you. I'm so moved by this initiative. There's so many aspects of it that require some explanation or maybe some elaboration. I wanted to talk as like a doctor for just a minute. When you're treating someone, you're always thinking of two things. What's the benefit you want? What outcome would you like? You know, their blood sugar comes down, their blood pressure stabilizes, something like that. But what risk do you also introduce into their life by trying to help them? So that's that saying that you've probably all heard of, a motto of medicine: first, do no harm. So for this to be truly powerful, I think we have to be very nuanced in thinking through what the opposition is going to be and have answers to that. And I'll just throw some ideas out. And none of this is to say this shouldn't be done, but it's to say you should be prepared. So the first is a matter of language. The Freedom Riders, interestingly, just this week, the oh, you know, where the oh shoot, where was it? It wasn't in Nashville. It might have been in Chattanooga. The counter where the Freedom Riders went to the 4 young people who went to just simply sit at the white only counter, and they were beaten and they were humiliated, and they had drinks and things poured on their heads and all of that. Maybe you've seen some of the old movies about that. That counter was taken to the Museum for African American History in Washington, D.C., right on the mall. This week, it was sent back to Chattanooga because it was felt by the administration to be causing disunity and focusing too much on the negative features of American history. That's the climate we're in right now, where everything's being turned on its head. Discussions about race in most forms are being seen as assaults on the country. And there's even processes going on to criminalize it. So that's the environment you're taking this trip in, right? And remember, you're going through the heart of Dixie, right? So if I were, let's say, a Southern bigot, right, like the mayor of Selma, when the Freedom Riders came through there, he was interviewed just before they came, and he said, well, you know, we're a peaceful community. Everybody here is very friendly. We all know our place, which is a fancy way of saying, don't we like it like it is? And these people from the north are coming down to cause trouble for us, where everything is nice and peaceful and quiet. This is the way he thought, or this is, so that form of thinking still exists, right? So here we are, people from the north coming into the south with a name that sounds like Freedom Riders, right? So before you even get to Tennessee, or certainly into Alabama, people will be projecting their understandings about what the Freedom Riders were doing 60 years ago and putting it on you before you've had a chance to open your mouth, right? So there may be someone who takes it upon themselves to push you off the road, right? Or something. So I think that the language needs to be thought through. And again, I'm thinking out loud. I'm not saying that this has to end in any way, but I do think it's important to anticipate that you won't necessarily be received with open arms everywhere you go, right? And so if you anticipate that and think it through and have responses and also ways to protect the kids, that's going to be really important. So, all right. So again, something we just did here in Newtown, we scraped all of our language to eliminate the word diversity and the word, well, mostly the word diversity, because it's been co-opted and it's being used by people, the racists basically, as a way to say that you're causing division when it's exactly the opposite of what your intention is. So the idea is to use language that they can't use against you before you even open your mouth, I guess is what I'm saying. So we just use the phrase flowers of one garden, and people of every form and color and shape and background getting together, specifically avoiding the word diversity so that we don't become projection screens for all of their preconceived ideas about what we're up to, right? So crafting language that doesn't buy into somebody else's history or somebody else's problematic perception, right? So that it has a chance to be heard and even inclusive. So just the idea of race amity, and Smitty used to talk about the other tradition, right? And so thinking through about what that would mean in terms of messaging, in terms of language used, in terms of symbols, and thinking what the people from the other side may be thinking about what the symbols mean. And again, you may think that you're acting pure, and you are acting with pure hearts and pure intent, but you won't be seen that way by many. You'll be seen as causing division. And what they'll mean is that you're causing a disruption in the status quo. So there's a big commitment to courage here, and to kind of eyes wide open about what the price is that Dr. King used to talk about. For the prize, the beloved community, there's a price, right? So it's not just believing in these wonderful principles that we know are going to transform the world, but these guys who went to that counter, they knew they were going to be accosted and have drinks poured on them and roughed up. They knew that then, but they were willing to pay that price for that prize. So I hate to throw like a monkey wrench into
No, that's okay. I think you're making a really good point, John. We're on such a tight timeline. I think I'm
sorry.
going to
I'll leave
carry the
there.
conversation forward. But that's all stuff that we need to be mindful of and be thinking about. And I think the messaging and the communications is a big part of what our media team can help also craft in terms of when we're getting the word out. I have two more people I'd like to introduce. One is a special guest. His name is Mike Antonellis. He just ran the Boston Marathon last week, and he did it for Race Amity. He actually, that was the purpose of his run, and he actually raised funds for Race Amity. And so I invited him tonight because, here's another example of someone who's doing an intensive physical effort for a cause. And I just thought he might have some words of advice and encouragement for the youth. So Mike, if you're there, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I'm here. And good evening, everybody. I'm really sorry that I missed the first few minutes of this. I had a previous commitment, but this just seems like such an amazing endeavor. And how old are all the participants? What's the age range?
13 and 18.
That's just amazing. That's just so awesome. You guys are truly remarkable for doing this. Yeah, I did a marathon, 26 miles, but you guys are doing hundreds of miles. So that is just so cool. You're going to meet so many people along the way. And, yeah, there's things to be cautious about, as the previous speaker was noting, but you're also, I guarantee you're going to have a lot of positive and amazing experiences along the way. So, a bit about myself. I live up around the Boston area. I'm in Waltham, Massachusetts. I'm an older guy. I got a couple of college age kids. I've got an 18-year-old and a 20-year-old, and I used to be involved in a lot of their activities, coaching baseball and softball, scouts, doing stuff at their school all the time. But now I've got a little bit more time on my hands now that my kids are grown, and I'm looking for things to kind of fill that void of volunteerism. So I was really happy to learn about Race Amity and to get involved as my first endeavor with Race Amity. And as for marathoning, I work in IT, so my job is talking and typing all day. So I need to get up and move around. So that just keeps me sane and keeps me healthy. But, in terms of why this was a great fit for me, I'm passionate about running. Obviously, I've run a couple of marathons in the past. But I have a biracial family. My wife is from Mexico. So, my family is a melting pot. I'm the youngest of 9, typical Boston Irish Catholic Italian family. We have a big family, but we've always been a melting pot. And for me, that was completely normal. My brother-in-law is African American. My nephews are African American. My sister-in-law is Guatemalan. I have another sister-in-law who's Australian. So that's like the norm for my family, but I know it's not the norm for everybody. So I always try to help people to see, the value in having experiences with folks from all different kinds of cultures and backgrounds. But being able to combine running with this cause was something I realized, I could truly run for this. Like, I felt motivated and inspired as I was doing this. And the boost that I got, both financially and emotionally, from folks that were involved with Race Amity, either through my network or through the Race Amity network. The Race Amity network, they just, people, strangers, just helping the cause, donating selflessly, giving me great words of encouragement. It was really just amazing and inspirational. And when you're doing 26.2 miles in my case, or hundreds of miles in your case, you need that. You need that boost. Those attaboys, those attagirls, they're gonna be what you need. And when you get the financial benefit as well, when people part with their hard-earned money to support you, that just it really means a lot. So I promise you, you're gonna feel great throughout this whole effort, especially at the end when you see how it's paid off and you know that you're contributing to a cause that's greater than yourself and that does truly great things. So with that all said, if some of you are new to fundraising, I've done fundraising a few times. So I just wanted to give a few quick tips on fundraising in general. So when you're writing a page talking about what you're doing, or if you're writing emails to send to people, just make sure you start with a good personal overview of why you've decided to support this cause and join the cause, what it means to you, why you think it's a good idea for people to donate. Then just ask. You'd be surprised just asking. A lot of people are timid. I'm timid at first about asking people for money. I think it's natural to feel that way, but you never know unless you ask, and you'll be very surprised at people's generosity. People are just great. If you just ask them and you explain again from the first point why they should donate to this, what's in it for them, what's the purpose of it. It's the positive parts of this cause. If possible, make your fundraising fun. Now is not the time for Super Bowl squares or football squares, but you can look for other ways to do fun fundraisers. You could host an event and get businesses to donate gift cards or get people to donate gifts, maybe things that have been sitting on their shelf, Christmas gifts they weren't thrilled with, that kind of thing. And you have raffles. You find somewhere where you can have some type of an event. Another thing to do if you can get a good sized event is to do a 50-50. Now, let's say you get 50 people in a room and you say, hey, for $10 each, you can participate in the 50-50. Everybody kicks in $10. That's a $500 pot. And then you can say the winner gets $250 and the charity gets $250. And most people, if they win those things, they'll give at least a little bit back to your charity as well. And then always, when you do get donations, just quickly and sincerely reply to your donors. Let them know how much you appreciate that they've parted with their hard-earned money and how much you appreciate the support that they've provided. So I just rambled for a bit, so I'll just pause and see if anybody has any questions.
I think we'll move on to, I have a couple more guests to introduce and hear from, but thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate you being here tonight and giving us that example of powering through. I'd like to introduce a member of the board of directors of the National Center for Race Amity. Lewis Smith is actually the son of the founder, Dr. William Smitty Smith, who some of you may have known and who passed away recently. And Lewis is now serving on our board and was very excited about hearing about this project. So I don't know, Lewis, if you'd like to share a few words.
Sure, yeah. This is super exciting. I only recently learned about this event. I think just we adults, we get old, we start getting weary, we start seeing all the horrible things that happen in the world, and then young people like you start doing things like this that give us hope and show us that there's actually a lot of hope for the future in spite of things like, the lunch counter getting shipped back, in spite of, all this anti-DEI legislation, in spite of, schools having to scrub their, the word diversity from their websites, that the hearts and sort of spirits and minds of our young people are still focused on this vision of a unified future and willing to show that is really amazing. So first, just thank you for that bit of inspiration. I work in education. I work at a school. So this is just the kind of sort of wind that we all need in our sails. That visual in my mind of this very diverse group of people together as one sort of speaks for itself. And I think I'm super excited to have PR folks on who can help sort of get that message out in the right way. I hear you, Dr. Woodall, where you're coming from. I also think about the freedom riders of the 60s, and the older folks will know the name Diane Nash. Younger people, go ahead and look her up. incredibly brave woman who was one of the sort of original freedom riders. And there's this sort of famous scene where, from history, it's not from a movie, it's reality. John Siegenthaler, who was the assistant to the U.S. Attorney General, RFK, not the RFK you guys know, but his dad, who was an amazing civil rights icon, tried to talk her out of it. And she was at that time only a little bit older than you guys. And he basically said, don't you know that there's all this danger in front of you? And he thought he was going to basically talk her off of it, and they were going to quiet the whole thing down, and all the freedom riders were going to go home and think it would be hunky dory, and no one would be making any trouble. And she said, "I don't think you understand what's at stake here, and I don't think you understand how committed I am to this cause." And that moment of conversation, as he recounts it, completely changed his mind on where the priorities lay in the civil rights movement and how important it is to rely on sometimes that just absolutely fearless. Sometimes you could, some people would argue there's a thin line between stupidity and courage, but that courage that the youth have, just because sometimes they don't even know any better. They know what's in their heart, and that's what they're going to do. So thank you for that. I really, really appreciate it. Sorry for babbling for so long. I'm hoping to find a way to join y'all on the road if that's possible. I don't know, I don't want to sort of wreck your vibe or whatever you guys have going, but I love riding. So if there's a way I could meet up with y'all for a leg or two, that'd be really cool too. But I want to just thank you so much. I know that if my dad were here, he would be bursting with joy at this coming to fruition. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Louis. Kate, I'm going to turn it back to you. I understand we may have a couple of other mentors on the call that are going to support the youth. And then we're trying to wrap within 7 or 8 minutes. So I'm sorry we went a little long, but I'm going to turn it back to you.
All right, thanks, Glenn. Yeah, so 2 other people who are, there's Marcus Robinson. He is going to support us. We can call on him and he's going to help us out. And then there is Ariel Marlowe. He is going to actually come on the trip and serve as a mentor to our youth riders here. So a bit about Marcus Robinson, and he's here, so he'll be able to share some words with the youth and families. But Marcus Robinson is the co-founder of Ride for Racial Justice, a nonprofit dedicated to providing access and opportunities to the BIPOC community in cycling. He's a longtime cyclist, college athlete, top shelf competitor, and barbecue pitmaster. Throughout Marcus's life, he's always been a change maker, from being the youngest outward bound mountaineering school graduate at 17 to being an integral part of the desegregating a swimming pool in Kansas during the height of segregation. Marcus comes with a strong commitment to cycling, as he's ridden and raced for over 40 years and created the Riders for Racial Justice BIPOC gravel program and Steamboat Gravel for 4 years. Currently, he's recently retired from global communications and marketing at Denver International Airport, and prior to that, United Airlines. But if you really want to know more, just ask him. We're sure he will tell you some stories because he has a few. Please, Marcus, if you could share a few words for the youth and their families. Is he here? He was here.
There, am I there? Can you hear me?
Yes, hi, you can hear you.
Yay! Okay. When you're retired, you end up not doing all these technical things. You just kind of read the newspaper and sit in the big chair. So thank you, Kate, for that amazing introduction that I actually wrote. But other than that, I'm excited to be here and offer any type of insight that I can provide to these kids. A little bit of background about how we started RFRJ. RFRJ, which is Ride for Racial Justice, was created just after George Floyd was murdered. And as a longtime cyclist, where I ride here in Colorado, I ride out on some 2-lane highways and country roads. And at one point, my wife told me, she said, "I don't need you riding out here alone anymore because of where I ride and the political climate at those particular locations." And I mentioned that in an IG post. And my co-founder, Neil Henderson, called me up, and he's white. He's in tears, and he's saying, this is not the way you're supposed to have fun riding on your bicycle, worried about whether or not you're going to get hit. Previously in my career, I've had crowbars thrown at me. I've had trucks try to run me over. I've been accosted by police for not following rules, even though I was inside a peloton of cyclists, all white except for me, but yet I was singled out. So I understand what the doctor was speaking about because I've had firsthand knowledge. The one thing that I can say about the things that these young kids are about to embark upon is that you're going to find a time when you're not going to understand what's happening around you. There are going to be so many things coming at you, and it's going to be hard for you to process. What you need to take away from that is some silence, because your ancestors are speaking to you. Understand that the roads that you are riding are historical. They mean something. And when we started our program at Steamboat, it's the only BIPOC program in existence at a major gravel race in the country, where we selected 25 athletes from all over the US, as well as some from Europe, to do this incredible gravel race from 35 miles to 145 miles. These folks had never done anything like that. In 8 months, we trained them. We show up in Steamboat. They put on their kit, which is a cycling jersey and matching shorts. And it transformed each of them into their own superhero, because now they had power. They had community. They're riding along in this yellow and black, and people are coming to talk to them. And all of a sudden you realize that at some point, when you're riding on a bike, you can't get mad at what's going on in the world because you're on a bike. What's happening is that when you engage in conversations, you find out that you have more in common than what you may have had before you got on that bicycle. And so one of our mottos at RFRJ is bikes equals freedom. And that is exactly what we continue to practice with over hundreds of athletes that we've trained all over the country and continue to do so. And in 2025, this year now, we have taken all the money that we have raised and reinvesting in our alums, one of which is here with me today, Ariel Marlowe, and we invest in our alums so they can go back to their community and continue to build on what we've taught them, which is be who you are, be truthful, but respect the place that you're in. And I say that because it's important. And this ride down in Montgomery, it's going to change your lives. It's going to change your life. If you walk into a grocery store or walk into a drugstore or something like that, can you imagine that back in the 60s, there were people with fire hoses trying to get you to move? They're sending dogs after you. There's all these things that have happened historically to people of color through the 60s and the 70s that you're going to feel those ancestral hugs, if you will. They're going to be coming at you. So for each of you, this experience is going to be amazing. And I'm going to help coach you guys through it. Ariel's going to coach you through it. But take time to breathe. Look around. Smell. You don't really have to talk to people. This is about you feeling where you are and understand that significance. So when you go home, you can tell people about what you've accomplished. Because it's not about likes. It's not about Facebooks and TikToks and all this other stuff. This is about a human experience that you young kids have not had. When I, myself, and my cousin integrated the first swimming pool in Dodge City, Kansas, we didn't know what scared was because we were just kids. But behind the scenes that was going on with my grandmother, let me tell you, you do not want to mess with a church grandma let me just say this. Okay, you do not want to. And we integrated that pool. But on another level, that's what these kids, you guys are about to do. You're going to be moving en masse all the way down to Montgomery. You're going to feel it. You're going to feel it. I could talk forever. And I know I'm looking at my clock. Okay, I should shut up now. But please reach out to me. Ariel's there. Kate's got my information. Call me. I'm retired. I got nothing else to do except for ride my bike. And I got a gravel race in 1 month. So that's it. Thank you, Kate. Nice to meet everyone.
Thank you. Wow. I love that message. Thank you.
Thanks, Marcus. Is Ariel here? Did Ariel make it in?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was able to make it.
Okay, so this is Ariel, everyone. He was born and raised in British Columbia, but has lived in Austin, Texas for the past 6 years. During the day.
Sorry, North Carolina.
Oh, North Carolina. Okay. All right, but he lives in Austin, Texas now for the last 6 years. During the day, he is a community engagement coordinator for his local transit system. Every other moment, he's an active bike commuter and oftentimes racer, primarily cyclocross and gravel. When he's not kitted up, he's one of the main organizers for Black History Bike Ride, an Austin-based nonprofit and an avid bike packer. He helps throw big bike events with Bikes or Die and Texas Showdown series, and has produced an award-winning short documentary about a 350-mile bike packing trip from Austin to Galveston to learn about Black history in Texas. Creating fun and growth-orientated bike events are his passion. So Ariel, please take a few and share what's in your heart and mind.
Hi, everyone. It's an honor to be in this meeting. I think to even be in conversations about, I think like such a big undertaking by such a awesome and kind of like motivating group. I think the more I think about this ride and like the experience, the more I think I look back and I'm like, man, when I was a kid, like I think a lot of the things that I do now in life and practice now would have served me. And kind of what Marcus said of like with what Ride for Racial Justice has done is it's created a space where bikes equal freedom, and bikes have become more than just like something that we enjoy and that like brings us passion and, you know, gives us a chance to compete or connects us with people, not connects. That's my point. But it's become this thing that I think when we got back from the experience of, you know, training for 8 months, going in and achieving something very big, we got back and we were motivated to then share that similar experience in the way that we could with the people around us. And so as I think about like these opportunities that these young people are going to go on, like they're going to take lessons that when they come back, like they will have grown so much more and they'll be able to help the people around them with it, which I think is like the greater point. And so, no, I'm excited to like give back, but also to put into a cycle that I know like will not necessarily pay off for me, but will pay off for people around me and people around you all in your community. And I think to be able to do things like that is super meaningful. Especially because as I find myself getting busier and busier, it feels like the amount I can impact people around me shrinks. But when opportunities like this come, it's just like a reminder that if you stay the path and if you keep allowing yourself to grow and challenging yourself and working with people around you, like opportunities pop up to really impact the world in a really big way. And so that is all I have to say.
Thank you, Ariel. Glenn, we're 5 minutes over. Should we take
5 minutes over.
questions and answers, or
People are willing to hang out for 5 minutes so we can take a few questions. Also, I want to mention, if you want to put your email address in the chat, we're going to be sharing the recording of this meeting. So if there's others that you wished had been here, or you want to share with others in your community about the ride, we'll have a recording of this as well as other materials that we might be able to send along. So please share your name and email address in the chat. Yes, Kate.
Is it okay if I talk about the last bit, and then when we do question and answer, people can leave or they could stay?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So in this email that you'll be getting, we will send you guys a link for where you can donate if you'd like. And if you scroll to the bottom of the main page, you'll see a list of the people who are fundraising. So when you click on those names, these are all the individuals, these youth and some other people who are trying to fundraise. You can click on their bios and learn more about them and why they're doing this ride. We are still looking for a lot of, we still need a lot of money because of all the budget cuts. A lot of those funds are on hold or no longer available. So we're having to have to go to the community for support. We have raised enough money to pay for the gas. So we're good.
How much do you need, Kate? What's the total?
Oh, well, what, Samir?
30,000.
30,000. That's the golden mark. But thankfully, a lot of the communities along the way, a lot of churches, a lot of people are stepping up to help contribute food and whatnot. But there's some special activities, like we'd like to do a program in to celebrate Juneteenth when we're in Nashville, and that we could use a couple $100. We need about $150 to buy flowers and do some landscaping service project in Selma outside the front of the church at the Brown Chapel Church, where the march started from Selma to Montgomery. That's our service project that we're going to do there, because right now around Martin Luther King's monument, there's nothing. So we're going to plant some flowers around there.
And you should mention, Kate, the person that's receiving you there walked with Dr. King when she was 11 years old. And she was thrilled to hear about this and is so excited to welcome the group and is arranging this service project at the church.
Yeah, Linda Holmes. And then there's a $600 art decompression exercise that I would love for our group to do after we visit the Legacy Museum. Because when you go through that main museum, you come out emotionally wrecked, but a fire under your butt that you got to do something. And so this art decompression exercise that they do helps us to process what we just witnessed and to start thinking about activism. And then I would love for you guys to join us on the trip at any part of the trip. We have, if you're interested, please email me or call me. Join us at the museums. That's part of the purpose of this trip, is all along the way, we're going to be encouraging people to join us at the museums. And if you're on our route, just come to one of our public gatherings. What else? I think that's it. Yes. Oh, no. We're still looking for one youth rider, one like youth mentor rider who can drive. So the ages of 18 and 30. And then one driver who'll drive a sag wagon. That's it.
Okay. So we'll open it up to questions. Feel free to unmute, share your question. We'll try to maybe 8:24. Let's see if we can go till 8:30.
Yeah, I just got one question. I'm from Montgomery, Alabama. Dr. John Woodall talked about a possibility of opposition. Has anybody contacted the local constabularies between Madison and Montgomery to arrange for security? I mean, it's just like, since, he brought up that possibility, I think we probably need to at least contact the local constabularies between here and there.
No lie, I am Googling local constabularies.
Police.
Are you talking about like police stations and whatnot?
Yeah, that's the fancy word for police departments.
Oh, okay. We had consulted and about whether we'll do that or not. And we've decided not to for various reasons, but we will continue that consultation if you wanted to share briefly what your concerns are, or you can write them all down and email them to me. But we didn't know if they are going to try to stop us, discourage us. And we don't know which location is Glenn, help me.
I think it's a really good question. I think we should take it offline and think about, where and in what appropriate ways we might contact, law enforcement to just let them know we're coming through. I don't think we can solve that right now. But anyway, we have a hand up. Cece?
Oh, yes. Hi. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Hi. Hi, everybody. This is really fantastic. I'm kind of tearing up listening to some of the stories and the advice. And it's just a wonderful group of people that have come together. And I'm really pleased to have been able to join this call tonight. I had one question, and I sort of wanted to know how did this get started? What was there an inspiration for this? How did this come about, initially start the idea?
Very, very quickly. I took how do I do this briefly? I took a course. Okay, I grew up in a very diverse family where oneness of humanity was a way of life, not a grand ideal. So once I became an adult and I was seeing people with some very conscious and unconscious biases, I would get angry, and that served no one when trying to have conversations with them. So I took a course called Copper to Gold. And what that course does is it works with the participants, helps them address their conscious and unconscious biases. It's catered to white participants. There are participants of color there as well. So yeah, I took that course, got the vernacular, and was able to have more healthy conversations with people. And then to celebrate the ending of that course, Karen Shore, another participant, and I, with her daughter, went down to Montgomery, Alabama last summer. And going through that museum changed my life. As I said earlier, on the one hand, you see all the heartbreak that has happened throughout American history. And then on the other hand, you see and hear all the stories of heroism. And so it takes you through the history of America from the inception of slavery until the legacy of slavery that we're living now in the form of mass incarceration. And so you walk out of there just feeling like, all right, I've got more knowledge. What next? What can I do now? So that's the inspiration that where this came from. I didn't know what to do, and it's been taking years for me to gather knowledge and see what do I do with all this knowledge? How can I transform this knowledge and action into reality?
Okay, we have another hand up, Deanna.
I was wondering how much time you've allotted to spend in Montgomery at the museums and such.
So each day will be dedicated to each museum. We have one day, the day that we arrive is on Tuesday, and all the museums are closed. So on that Tuesday will be a day of rest, because the day before we would have biked from Selma to Montgomery. So we're going to rest, decompress, transition our minds and our bodies to what we're going to experience next. And so each day will be a museum. So we'll be in Montgomery for 4 days or 5 days. And then we were invited to Atlanta to go celebrate. Glenn and the National Center for Race Amity invited us to go and celebrate the ending of this trip in Atlanta.
Okay, next question, Rochelle.
Hi, so I just want to tell you that you're going to have an amazing time. I just walked from Chicago to Selma to Montgomery last year. And I'm 76 and white. You are all much younger and multi-ethnicity. And it's going to be amazing. That's all I want to share with you. I have, you're on bikes and people are going to want to just grab you up and just embrace you and tell you how amazing you are. And yes, is there a risk? Yes. And that's all I wanted to say. Just enjoy every moment of it. They're going to love you. And are you going to meet resistance? I'm sure there will be. And the love The love's overflowing.
Thank you. More questions or thoughts from anyone? Okay, Kate, why don't you take us out? Any closing comments?
I don't. I just want to thank everyone for taking time out. I'm sorry we went, kids, I'm sorry we took you away from your homework and studying for some extra time. But I love you guys, and I love all of the new friends that just came on to the Zoom. Thank you for coming and taking time out and expressing your support and enthusiasm for this.
Thank you very much. And like I said, you will be, if you left an email for us in the chat, you will be getting a follow-up email with some links and information. So thank you so much for joining us, and hope we'll be in touch and part of this movement together. Thank you. And good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. God bless.
God bless.